welcome, happy time zone, all terms of happiness and joy. If it's not already apparent, I'm super excited to be here and to be sharing this game with everyone. As if you are tuning in for this, welcome to the first episode of Aether Seekers of the Heart, an Aether RPG actual play that I'm going to be running here with the fantastic folks of Horde of Tales and this wonderful cast who's come together. We are sadly down one person due to sickness, but hopefully they'll be coming back by next week. We wish them speedy recovery. But in terms of just introducing ourselves, hello there, folks. My name is Angela Lemos Mogrovejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be your GM for this whole series. And I have, by divine right of GM duty, given myself the title of Shadow Weaver. You will come to understand this a lot more as we get into it, but I'm going to give everyone else a chance to do a quick intro of who they are. Just say name, pronouns, and don't worry about your characters just yet. I'll lead you into that. So just name and pronouns. So let's start with Hector.
I was
There you
muted.
go.
Hi, I am Hector Reyes. My pronouns are he, they, and I'm really excited to be here.
Fantastic. Let's pass it on over to someone who I'm sure will only be a beacon of order and not a beacon of chaos and absurdity, Jenna.
That's very helpful of you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jenna. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm excited to be here.
Next up, the incomparable, wonderful Kestrel.
Hi, I'm Kestrel. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm so happy to be here tonight.
Last but certainly not least, the wonder, the multicolored hair delight that is our own Carol.
Hey, I'm Carol, pronouns she, they. I'm very happy to play this game today. I have no clue how it's played, but you know.
Well, I am super excited as this is actually, for folks tuning in, this is my first time running this game. And yes, I am that person who likes to have my first experience with the game be I run it for people to watch and consume. So be prepared for both an introduction at times of just going through the rules, like streamlining things as is usual for stream games, but also bear in mind that some things might just be for the sake of this is really cool and fun. Let's like skirt over that. But this is a system that I want to try and honor as much as I can and hype up because this is the Aether RPG system by Eldritch Crow Games. Eldritch Crow was fantastic enough to actually give me a copy of this game when I was struggling to actually like afford it. And the moment I went through it, I'm like, I must run a series of this. This is amazing. And having even taken a deeper dive into this system, I'm even more excited to be sharing this with everyone. But before we get into it, I want to make it clear that we are employing safety tools here on the channel. There's going to be different points where content might get kind of sensitive and such, or it might start getting close to where people's level of comfort they'll need to decide in the moment. I've tried my best to check in ahead of time around lines and veils, which would be the content they don't want at all, or the content they're like, let's pass by. But people are open to change. People are capable of having days that are like, I want even less of this content. And so we've established tools like XNO. Folks want something mixed in it, they can just put an X in chat for me, and I'll be like, okay, no more of that. And be like, let's move on from here. Oh, give me more of this, hurt me. Maybe not that last part, but we'll see. If I've done my job right, they will look forward to the emotional dress a little bit. But in terms of just content warnings and such that I do want to say at the top of the hour, on the top of the session, different motifs around insects and bugs do come up in certain aspects of the people and beings that exist in this world they'll be roaming through. There will be elements of combat potentially. There is going to be nothing in the range of abusive relationships, but very messy relationships, especially given some of the contexts that my players have given for how their characters came to be, and elements of body swapping and such. But we've tried to discuss ahead of time and work around like the more unpleasant, like abusive or like non-consensual aspects of that. But if that's still a content matter that you're not comfy with, it's perfectly okay if you need to step away. And it's even something that for my players, if there's a moment where they need to just get up, go use the bathroom, or if the content is approaching something they're like, I need to step away for a second, they have every right to do that. I never want folks to sacrifice their well-being for the story, but you've heard me talk about all that. Let's actually get into this story. Let's dive into this world. I've spent some good amount of time dreaming, wondering about, thinking over, and had a lot of input from my players and building. So from the warmest earth do all of us arise, and to the firmest ground do all souls return. Such is, in a way, one of many truths in the world of Umbra. For all of you viewers, you just take a hold of the camera, you just watch it peer open. It's almost like opening up your eyes after like kind of a long nap, and you're kind of bleary-eyed and you're just noticing like the light coming in. It's bright, it's overwhelming. And then as your vision just sort of clears a little bit, just spanning high up into the heavens, seemingly having no end, and yet there has to be a peak up there somewhere, then going all the way down, down, down into the depths. The very bottom of Umbra, the rising mountain known in other terms is la oscuridad del mundo, or the world shadow, very shadow of the world around it. It is in this rising testament to earth, to shadow, that many layers, many tunnels, many caverns exist within the depths of this mountain. Just imagine small little burrowing creatures trying to break through the edges of the walls, just going down, just going down, just trying to bury their heads in, but oftentimes finding that the light really doesn't get into this place. There are cracks, there are intentional spots where it's open. The light does not really venture where people have not wanted it to go. For the light is the bane of all who live here. And who is it that lives here? But the various residents of the many layers that separate out all of the different cultures, communities, and places of Umbra. It is an important time. It is the moment where normally we would be hearing back of the Lightbringer, of they who have been tasked to bring back the stone that will revitalize the heart of the mountain, the heart stone. And yet there is worry. There is no return. The Lightbringer has not been heard from. And so, new steps must be taken. We pull forward a few weeks later. The time in which the stone must be revitalized and reach the peak is coming soon. And all of you have been called from different layers, from different places, from different backgrounds, different dispositions, to be amongst the children of shadow who can rise through the depths of night and dark to reach the peak of light and save your home. But before we venture back to the very depths, let's imagine an almost aerial view of a condor swooping through the skies and move to one of the top layers. Gardens, hanging crystalline light, having created panels with distinct architectures where the buildings are almost slanted in ways to not only refract the light into different patches of crops, but to also create little awnings of shadow so that the denizens here are safe. It is in this place that we meet one of our party. Hector, can you please introduce your character and How did they hear about this missive to be called down to the depths of the mountain? What was the day like when they heard, "We need you to come to the heart of the mountain"? Be unmuted, please, as you start talking.
Esper is a incredibly tall, athletic figure that is like the first thing you notice is the height. The second thing that one would notice is the mask. It is a bone white mask that just covers all of his face except for his eyes, which are dark, and then one the not right left the left eye is a perfectly carved blue topaz eye. It's very intricate. It looks like an eye. Someone smoothed it, like a true like artist made this eye. And then there's a slight, almost like a crack that's been filled in with gold on the side of the eye in the mask. There's a type of Japanese bowl making where broken things are brought together and sealed together with gold, and that is the technique that is used on this mask. He has black hair that has been midnight, thick, heavy black hair that has just been pulled back into a top knot, just sort of pulled tight. And there's just a little bit of it's a little messy. There's just a few strands coming out of it. And they are wrapped in not white because they live underground. It's sort of an off-white, slightly off-white cloak with a golden clasp on it that has all sorts of like leaves and vines kind of embossed to the clasp with a sunburst in the center of it, which is a little unusual because in some layers the sun is a dangerous thing. And then he has cloth armor, so it's more like wraps and tunic. It just looks like very thick clothing of the same kind of slightly off-white canvas, silk, cotton. You're not really sure what they weave down here from the various strange crops that grow in the sun gardens. It has billowy sky blue pantaloons, leg wraps, thick leg wraps, and what look to be sort of like makeshift sandals, but they're made of like thickened cloth. They're not leather. And on his back is a massive cloth wrapped greatsword. That when it's drawn reflects the light and is made of an enchanted crystal that has been hardened, so it is like steel and it's shatterproof. And then in his
Love it.
hand is a beautiful, lovingly carved quarterstaff made of root wood, which, you know, in this moment that you see him, he'll look up and there are massive tree roots from the surface that have cracked into the ceiling and made their way. So you actually have to go to the ceiling to harvest it. And it's from a true tree. And it's the roots. The roots are so thick, the tree is so old that the staff is able to be carved out from the root itself. And he's sort of just, it's a beautiful day. There's a little bit of rain. Sometimes moisture will come down through the sun cracks, create little droplets of sunlight. And the day that he heard that he had to go on this journey was supposed to be a day that he was going to spend with his brother, visiting the Moonbloom Gardens.
Speaking of which, I'm sort of imagining going through this street. Let's say the light has been adjusted. There's almost like panels hanging where like the equivalent of like construction folks having to do like the framework for the baseline components of a building. Instead,
Yeah.
there's like these like fractal pieces of crystal, and you just hear someone like down the street going, just raise it, raise it, raise it. No, down, down. Good. We're good. We're good. Don't move. Why did you move? God damn it. You just see a bunch of folks like equivalent of construction is just sort of just being there. But again, interesting details of a lot of folk tend to have almost insectoid or like subterranean, like crawler kind of elements. So some of the construction folks you're seeing have like almost Heracross beetle-esque like helmets to wear for during construction to make sure that the shards get caught. They're kind of curved in a way so that if shards get embedded in it, it'll actually scoop and hold them instead. So you can just be like, all right, something broke. All right, we're all good. But you actually see in the midst of this, I kind of imagine it was probably like a missive or something, like even just like rolled up scroll or just a letter that was sent to you to like start heading down all the way to the very heart of the mountain. But you see like your brother Cersei's just sort of like running up to you and it's like, hey bro, how's it going?
It's going great. How are the moon gardens?
They're really pretty, they're really bright. Can I tell you a secret?
Sure.
So don't be mad. You're gonna promise to not be mad first, right?
You have my word that I will not be angry with you.
Okay, so I started doing my own crop bed a little bit away from everyone else because I wanted to see if I could do it.
Okay. Vegetables, flowers, fungi. What are we talking here?
Yes.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay.
but so I didn't exactly check to see whether or not the spot I started growing and doing stuff on was somebody else's. And you do see I'm gonna say a roughly like 8 foot tall, very barrel chested, like think of a mix between a Komodo dragon and like a grasshopper
Oh,
in terms of body design. Like the arms are a little like they have like the double joints of like grasshopper just going over, and he's like, hey. And you just see like this little kid just hiding behind the other one to start like that one did it.
that I like go up to them and I the mask is there. So I apologize for my brother's creativity. They just wanted an opportunity to grow more things. What might we do? Would you like the plants removed? Would you like to keep them? I could probably trade you some pieces of amber.
I don't know how I feel about taking from a small kid, but also your brother should have been way more attentive to what he was doing.
I mean, his sleep schedule is out of whack. You know, the moon bloom, they have to stay up all day and well, they have to sleep all day and they only get up at night. And if you don't follow the cycles of the sun, it can do things to your mood.
And again, I should note, I will not mimic the level of deep that this person's voice is. We're talking like a foghorn is high pitched in comparison to where this person's voice is. Esper, I would like you to do a skill check for me.
Yes.
It will be the first
Okay.
skill check of the game. So the
First
way it
skill
works
check.
in Aether is that instead of using dice as resolution or our main sort of mechanic, we use a deck of cards. So in the situation, I want you to look at your skill set, all the things you've chosen at character creation. Think to me,
Mhm.
what do you think in your mind Esper would be trying to do in this moment to try and convince this person? Do you feel like after hearing that because they don't look like they're in a good mood.
Right.
And I also note that the little kid hiding behind them is doing the thing where someone's like egging them on. It's like, I don't know, maybe you should beat him up, Dad. I feel like he deserves it for killing all my crops. And this one's getting in the way. Like
Right.
the kid is being a little brat right now. So how do you
Right.
think Esper would try and handle this situation?
I am going to use my empathy skill to try and figure out what would be like the best way to smooth this over, because violence is always the last resort. If this sword ever gets drawn, I've already failed.
I like that. So the way we're going to approach the skill check is that you will draw a number of cards equal to whatever the level of your skill is. And
Okay.
because we have a cat on screen, you get an additional draw.
Yay.
Because that is the way I'm going to implement cat advantage here on the channel,
right.
is folks will get a +1 bonus to their card draw.
Okay, here we go.
So thank the cat for another card.
Thank you, kitty. All right, here we go. And I got oh, wait, this is going to be challenging.
There's a 10.
That's a
You
10.
could also just say the numbers, Hector.
Oh, yeah, I could. But they're so pretty. Ooh, and an ace. Is that a
Ooh.
1 in this game?
Aces are 1s in this game.
Oh, okay. Well, 11. Yeah, I have a total of 11.
Well, it's not total. It's each
Oh, no.
individual card.
Oh, it's
So,
each individual
this
card.
is yes. So the way it works is that you draw a number of cards. You get to decide which of those cards is going to be your degree of success. It's not a matter
Oh.
of total. It's a matter of which card you choose to determine success. Now, because you drew an ace in your set, a tragedy is what the mechanic is called, is going to occur no matter what, just because you drew it. And there will be an extra complication in the narrative, and you will get to mark your omen tracker.
Oh.
But you get to decide in this moment, what degree of success do you want it to be?
Right. In this case, I'm going to pick the 10. And then
You pick the 10. So when
yeah,
you
and I
pick
bank
with
the
picking
ace,
10,
right? Okay.
yes, you can. No. You only bank when you choose a partial success. That's sort of the differences. So the way it'll work is that there's 3 degrees of success. You have failure, mixed success, full success. Full success, the benefit you get is there's no other issues, no complications. Mixed success, usually a complication happens, but you get to bank, so basically make a copy to save for later. And then full failure is you'll get potential, and horrible things usually happen. Now, your situation is that you will have an extra complication in this, in that you succeed fully.
Yeah.
See, the person who the either, it's hard to tell whether it's, they keep saying dad, but person does not look old enough to be a dad. It just seems like little brother's just being like, you're the adult figure, therefore your dad stand-in.
Right.
Is okay with this situation.
Okay.
The complication I'm going to give you,
Okay.
they seem like they're amenable to this, is that another sibling shows up in this situation who's even bigger and looks even less happy with the two of them dawdling here. I will also note, in terms of bigger, I mean, they're about 10.5 feet tall as opposed to the 8 foot tall one you were just interacting with.
He just sort of like looks up, and I turn to my brother and I say, I think maybe you should. My brother is going to remove all of the produce from your moon bloom bed. I'm going to make sure that it happens. I'm very sorry about the inconvenience to your family.
So the middle one, so this is right before the next sibling shows up. Looks like, well, I suppose you're being understanding about and then has a look of absolute fear on their face as they see the other sibling coming. And they're like, why don't we call it even? And Pietro, it's like, yeah, bro, we're gonna go now. It's like, but what about my crop? We're gonna go now. And you just hear like a loud voice call out to the older brother saying, Samson. And they're like, they turn to you. Best of luck. Just tell your brother to be more careful. And you there's like a dust cloud formation of the two of them left behind as they just kind of take off. And now you see the 10.5-foot tall individual coming by.
Oh dear. I take my brother by the hand and I'm like, okay, I will help you. But we need to get your new bed harvested quickly because that individual looks terrifying. And what have I always said? If I have to draw this, I've already lost.
But you could take them, right?
These swords are for lava eaters and external threats. They're not for the community. And you know that.
I'm just saying hypothetically,
if that person caused problems for the community. But right now, you're the community problem.
Oh, hi. It's me. I am the problem.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What's that? And then points to the missive, and that's where I'm gonna pull away from the scene because your brother doesn't know yet about you being called away. But it's just like, what's that? And like, if you at all try and hold it away from him, he is like doing the thing of like trying to run around you and like grab it, try and get it for himself.
I think the final shot before we do the jump cut, if I would like to request that I just sort of exhale and calmly hand it to him.
Okay. And moving from there, just sort of go down a few different layers. Interesting that you mentioned the whole lava eater component, as far because we moved to a layer in which you just hear just like gurgling and like rumbling of noises. Occasionally there's like a small like little localized seismic event happening some distance away, and then occasionally you see like a plume of like black smoke just emerge out of the ground, and all of this is happening while there's small riverbeds of lava and like flame happening at different spots. And in the midst of all of this, where, Caro, do we find Juville in the middle of all of this? What is happening the day that they receive the missive to head down even lower than they normally go in the mountain?
So for Jewel in this exact moment, I think he will be on his way back to his own like chamber, lair, however you want to call this. Like from a stroll, basically, just was out for small walk and on his way back.
Middle of the walk, you just see like a small river of like lava going by you, which of course you're not affected by the heat for some strange reason. It just doesn't bother you as much. And you just see as you're walking by, like trying not to engage with anybody, you just watch as like out of the middle of the river, you just see just like emerge out of it this almost like pure primordial entity of fire whose body it's full on like behemoth level sized being who like absolutely terrifying presence, and then just goes up to you, and this is your friend Brenna, the lava eater.
Seeing that creature coming to me, like in its lovely greeting manner, and like just holding up the hand, touching his face, like patting it a little bit. There's not much like conversation between them. They know each other since a while by now, so yes.
Yeah. You also get the sense that like the gurgling that happens at different points in bless you, Eldritch Crow. The floor is lava. It is also fun-shaped. It's accurate. So you've learned over time interacting with each other that actually the parts of their body that her body that does not stay like consistent, like that starts like sloshing off of them or like moving like living like lava, is actually because they're kind of anxious at any given moment, just shaking a little bit. So they're just like, you can tell they don't like talking, and you don't need them to talk very much. So it's easy going. But you just see them just like go, which, given that you have an understanding with elementals and such, you hear her basically translation of, so I tried to talk to Sophia today. I don't know how it went. Just like very anxiously, like looking at you, like whole shoulder dematerializes from solid to liquid from anxiety.
Do I have any idea who Sophia is?
Sophia is someone that she's interested in. It's another elemental in the place that she's interested in. It's just like, she's casually mentioned it, but it's like casually, you two casually talking, I would assume is something like once every like 7 weeks you have a conversation that's maybe a minute or two long.
Yeah,
it's not like very long conversation.
Yeah, I would say yeah, kind of. Like the response to this will be basically like, I guess if she likes you, she will tell you.
You said she likes being around me. What does that mean? Like the most awkward, like what are these scripts people are telling? Well, how do dating as fire elemental?
I guess she likes you.
Body re-solidifies. The fire, like the lava starts glowing brighter. Genuine sign of happiness has occurred. But also is like, also someone has been looking for you. They have a letter for you?
And Jewel looks pretty much confused at this because it's probably the first time they even get a letter. So where?
Philibus has it. He figured you'd hold on to it until you wanted to talk, so he said he'd hold on to it for 2 months.
Yeah, it's just a not coming as a response.
Check out Cinder, the new dating app specifically for fire elementals. sort of like elaborates more. I won't, because I want
Yeah,
to have
yeah.
a voice after this. Elaborates it like it looks like it has a seal on it that
Yeah.
that you recognize is like from an alchemist guild.
Mhm.
So it's like it's not just like you're getting the Andean fantasy equivalent of spam mail or spam letters. It's not one of those situations. It is definitely like it's weird because, like you said, you don't get letters, but there's definitely a sign of like someone's looking for you, and it looks like it's something important. And as far as Brenna, your friend, is able to tell you, it looks like Philibus also conveyed that it looks like there's a perk in it for you if you're interested.
Did you read that letter?
Philibus has indicated nothing.
Okay.
Philibus is the kind of person who's like, I know things. It's like, how do you
I
know
see.
these things? I will never explain to you how I know
I
things.
see, I see. One thing that just comes to my mind, probably I should for everyone else also describe my character, since I haven't done that yet. For Jewel, he is kind of like around 6 feet tall. So rather tall amongst the other people that live in this area. And he has this short, dark, nearly black hair that is on one side is a bit combed back, on the other side is totally wild, partly hanging over his yellowish amber colored eyes, and the tips are in grayish color as if the color is fading out of there. He wears a few layers of clothing, it looks very fashionable and like very well dressed. There is some pieces that would resemble some armors and pauldron made out of gold, and everything held together, like the wool layers of rope held together with a belt. And the main coloration that he went for was like different colors of red and black. Yes, I think that's everything.
The fanciest of boys.
Yeah, the fanciest of boys. Very handsome.
The most handsome.
Yeah, the most. Also, he has gloves that partly cover his hands, beside the back part of his hands, where there on each hand there are large crystals embedded, which are resembling fire opals. And yeah, they are kind of glowing in that area. So yes. He looks definitely warmer dressed for that area than it should normally be.
Yeah, everyone else around here is in the like fancy equivalent of like skivvies and like board shorts and such, or like whatever that the equivalent of that is in terms of like thickness of clothing. They're pretty much in that sort of state.
Yeah.
But you probably wouldn't know either because you don't interact with most of them. You see them, but you probably
see them, and it's wondering why they are having basically such few clothes on, and I most of the times feel like, yeah, this could actually be a little bit warmer.
literally near lava and like active seismic and volcanic events.
Like,
and the person's
yeah,
just like,
it's a bit chill today.
It's a Californian going to anywhere on the East Coast that's remotely a little bit less colder. And they're just like, wow, it's really cold today here. But
not that I would know of.
no. But basically, should you choose to do so, you would be able to go and
yeah, I
with
think
Philibus.
since this is a very rare event of getting a letter, yeah, I think it would be best to go to Philibus and look what is there.
You'd be able to meet. And I don't think you gave me any details for Philippus, so
No,
you're
totally free.
let's go with handsome men. Let's go with some handsome men for this moment. I haven't done enough handsome men yet. So let's go with, yeah, I know. Let's go with Tavern Keeper Pedro Pascal as a rough outline for how he looks. But very definitely has like very calloused hands, very much like someone who probably, and a lot of scars all over his body, definitely looks like someone who at some point did adventure or did go out into the world, but is definitely that person where it's like you would talk to him, he would share a story and you'd be like, how do you know about that? And he's like, oh, I just know things. Very keeps things close to the chest kind of person, but astonishing amount of information is always present in his head. And you're like, ow. Ow. But he would pass on the letter and he would say that we have yet to hear of the Lightbringer. It's been weeks. And Lightbringer, that element, that sort of pilgrimage, that sort of figure that goes on that pilgrimage, everyone in Umbra knows, regardless of the layer, you would all know the importance of that figure. Them not coming back is a pretty big deal. And the letter would indicate that should you be willing to go through the task of joining another group of people to take on their role and discover both what happened to them and bring the Heartstone to the summit, we would be willing to allow you to make use of the Alchemist Guild's full resources, which includes matters of transfiguration.
Well, first of all things, before even reading the letter, it's basically like having it in the hand and smelling it. It's like the first time in his life that he ever got a letter. So it's like the whole concept of this is like, this is weird. So, but then like after already reading everything was like, if there was ever interest showing in his face, even if there was like a story told to him by Philippus, this is definitely the phase where it will be like, oh, this is a very interesting thing. So might be a little bit surprising for his acquaintance.
Philippus just sort of just smiles. Philippus has a smile that I can most charitably describe as a very shit-eating grin on his face. Looking at your just kind of puzzled reaction to the concept of a letter. Because it almost seems like he's holding back saying, do you understand what a letter is? Do you know that you put your hand here, you unslot it, you open it up, you look at, you could tell that like has that look of trying to biting his tongue so hard right now to not give you shit over it. But that's good news? Bad news?
Good news.
Well, I hope whatever it is continues to be so going on ahead. I'm sorry to say I don't have anything else for you. You're welcome to keep me company if you'd like.
Is he having the same smile on his lips like you?
Yes. Yeah.
There's this very confused look on Jewel's face. Like, no, thank you. I will be on my way.
this like rejection immediately.
And he turns around and it's like, and then suddenly turns back. Do people get this often?
Honestly, Han, that's the first time I've ever seen a missive look that fancy, especially with the Alchemist Guild. They usually stick around Glitter Gorge and stay over there. They don't really get involved with other folks unless they're doing trade with other people, and that certainly does not look like a trade letter. Maybe you got an admirer. Or maybe someone's thinking of you.
That's a weird concept. I will be on my way.
Like, social intimacy. Nah, I'm out. No, just that moment of just kind of like, no, and I don't do this. This part I don't do.
Someone thinks about me. No.
No, not what I do. Nope. Too close, too close, too close. Camera pans back and we move again to another layer. And this time the air is filled with a mixture of different noises. At first you hear the sound of very like Tulsa, like panpipes being played. For those who know what a zampoña is, you hear the sounds of that playing over and over. And then it's slowly you get a little bit more instrumentation being added in. You hear almost, it sounds like they're instruments that are made out of armadillo shells that sound like when the strings are being played, it's almost like beautiful ice and glass breaking. And then you start hearing a chorus of voices sort of chiming in. And then you hear someone like in the middle of trying to keep a note sustained go, and you go, then you just hear a loud voiceover go, stop, 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 stop. Mother Mercy, would you care to explain what people did wrong in this instance? And Kestrel, would you care to describe what your character looks like and how you respond to this situation?
So Mother Mercy is this like very tall and spindly marionette woman, like quite literally 6'5". Her like through this layered white dress you can see poking out from the sides, like two sets on either side, like these thin spindly arms that like almost end in these claws, but it's just sort of like exaggerated and pointed fingers. At the very tip of her dress, like splotches of like paint and small like stains of resin, whatever else is used to sort of keep the theater in aesthetic order. And her face is painted with this sort of like drama makeup where like it is very exaggerated. You have some of like huge expressive lines, but her face itself is just very stoic. Her mouth is typically shut quite a lot of the times, and even her eyes, like a sort of one of those dolls that you can sort of like, shift around to have their eyes flicker open and shut. You can tell hers are shut most of the time. But when they are open, there is just sort of like hollow, like nothing beneath, just like sort of deep sunken wood that leads into nothing but darkness. And sort of through the sheer dress, on her front, you can see sort of set inside a dully shimmering sapphire. That's where her gem is kept. And within the theater, she is just a production assistant, and she is make for make very similar to, there's like a production line of like very similar looking characters who share sort of her role, that span miles if you look for long enough. But for this particular instance, she is likely it was Sawyer who gave sort of the begrudged command just a moment ago, and she's off to the side of the wings of this stage. just sort of waiting on her next order. She's very sort of still in that moment, just sort of like watching and waiting and reliving this same process that has happened time and time again with a new soul that has come in and is sort of rehearsing for their final play before they decide if they are going to stick around or move on. And so after that, she just sort of like eyes shut, turns like her head rickety, sort of stilted movements over to the director and just sort of waits on a command.
Mother Mercy, if you would help me in this moment. I realize that we have a lot of things going on. And again, you see this individual that I'm going to describe them as best. If you ever seen like traditional, very like Nutcracker-esque kind of like dolls, imagine a marionette like that, but the patternings, if you go and look up the kind of outfit that Cholitas from Bolivia wear, which is sort of like these flared hoop skirts, a kind of bowler hat, like flared out like skirts and such that have these very like hand threaded like patterns and such to them, and they're kind of these patterns of reds and greens and blues and such. There is also one second. You were at, trying to remember which layer you were at. Envious Mercy. Ah, yes, now I remember. There's also patterns of pale lilacs, reddish purples, honey yellows, and banded opaque greens that are happening across this individual's outfit. They seem like they have multiple different gems all across at different spots that are like any part where like, oh, this connects like a strap for the dress, or any point at which this connects like a part of the suit. There's a gem there. Very opulent, very ostentatious, but the tone suggests nothing of civility. It's just sort of this individual who you would know as Sawyer is just sort of like, Mother Mercy, if you would please tell me, what did the individual do wrong?
Head turns back to the individual. Well, when we prepare for the final performance, typically we expect a certain amount of perfectionism with each soul that passes through here. And any mistakes, well, it would reflect poorly on the theatre, but oh, it would reflect much more poorly on you, seeing as this will be the very last instance in which you leave your mark on the world. Perhaps you would like some water to clear your throat and try again.
Yes. We should. We've long passed a period in which we should all be having some water. By the way, cast drink water. Anyways, carrying through with that, there's a moment of like, sorry, it was just like claps hands. 5-minute break, everyone. You all have time to pull yourselves together. Think more carefully about your decisions, about when you choose to hold certain notes or when you choose to take in breaths. It's very important that you actually have proper breath control here. Remember, you don't focus here. You want it from here, down below, support, diaphragm. I'm aware that none of you actually have organs anymore, but that's beside the point. Diaphragm is roughly the direction you want to aim for the air in which the place in which you had organs at one point. Just because you are no longer fully living does not mean you have entirely forgotten what it was like to be living. Here.
Well said, Sawyer.
Thank you. Thank you for reminding me I'm right again. And just sort of like walks off. And again, it's a mix of very unsettling and kind of foppish in terms of like overall manner in which they carry themselves. And again, it is strangely beautiful, but also very unsettling to see various individuals leaving, as it's like a chorus of marionette like humanoids and constructs just sort of going by. So you hear it.
Very unsettling, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're just moving forward. And Sawyer is just sort of sitting there with you and just, oh. You know, I try and work with them as best I can. I'm not being too hard on them, am I? Am I, Mercy?
Oh, no. Everybody goes through the process, and, well, who would want to have a poor performance? Mark their entire history. You're doing them a service.
You're right. I should not doubt my brilliance. My direction has been impeccable. My focus has been clear, laser focused. It's other people who are wrong. It's for
Absolutely.
whatever reason, like the camera shifts to the side and it has a like Principal Skinner referring to the children as the one who are wrong meme-esque like tilt to it. It's so strange. It's so weird that the camera does that all of a sudden. But there is also a sense of like Sawyer, for whatever weirdness is involved with literally pulling souls that have not quite become content with where they're at to move on to the afterlife that exists here, or one of the afterlives rather that exists here. You do know Sawyer to still care. There's an air of perfectionism, but also an air of like, I just want them to be perfect because I know they can do better.
Oh,
I know they're
absolutely.
great. I want them to be amazing.
Yes, yes.
That's not too much, right? Am I overbearing? You can like moves aside like a small table and like sits in front of you like this. It's like, Mercy, you'll be straight with me. Well, direct with me. Straight. You'll be direct with me, right? I'm not. It's not me being too much, is it?
Sawyer, I remember when I first came through here, lost and confused in the liminal space between life and death, and no idea what was going to come for me next. And I found myself here in the theatre. And while it is very difficult to live up to the standards that we value here, well, look at me now. I find that I much rather enjoy the work that we do, value it, and see it as something rather important. Had it not been for your strict teaching, well, I fear I would have a very poor quality of undeath.
True. And you have been one of my favorites, Mother Mercy, to have come through this theater. I have perhaps even one day, I've thought that you might even take my role at one point or another.
You flatter me so, Sawyer. Would you like me to polish
Oh,
one of
it's
your
not
chairs?
flattery when it's just facts. It's not how that works. It's simply a statement of fact. One can say it with as much gusto and contentment as they can. Though if you take flattery from it, I will not hold it against you.
If you could see like a dull flush in like coming to terms with like, okay, I've just been complimented, like I feel good about this, then like there would be, but like I think she just sort of like is very pleased with that.
Meanwhile, shortly a little bit nearby, you do see that there are two members of the chorus sort of arguing with one another over something. You don't quite know what it is, but just making mention of it in your periphery, you are hearing that there are two individuals who seemingly are having a rather heated argument about something.
Ooh. Bid me one moment, Sawyer. Allow me to see what's happening over here and see if I can get this sorted out.
Yes. And do come back soon. There is something I did remember. Hearing the word important did remind me that you do have a communication that's specifically addressed to you for something or other. I'm not
Maybe.
entirely familiar with the sender, but the seal on it seems rather important.
Oh, how fascinating. I don't think I've ever received a letter in the however long I've been here.
Although, time is a construct, and we simply look at that one, think of it as a bad design, and we just sort of set it aside for another time to look at it whenever we need to. But it's not really something we think about that much.
Absolutely. Then yes, I shall be back in a moment.
Yes.
And when Mother Mercy moves, she sort of glides along as though she's being pulled along by something invisible. Like very much just like a ghost moving through a haunted mansion type of vibe as she approaches this arguing couple.
You do see a pair of gender doesn't really, it's sort of kind of set to the side when it comes to marionettes. It's there for the sake of aesthetics and presentation of how people identify, but it's more of a guideline than an actual like requirement for anyone. the afterlife sort of tosses aside most conceptions of gender. Oh, hello, police alarm. Anyways, there is a, it seems like a very sheepish looking, very masculine coded individual who's wearing, it seems like an admiral sort of outfit of some kind, and then you see another one who is apparently supposed to be playing like their the opposition to this. We're just making up a play that's happening at this point, so do not write this down as actual hard canon. This is just in the moment coming up with stuff. But they seem like they're having an argument over they were a little too good at performing towards one another, and you recognize these two as having been in a very long-term relationship, so now they're worrying that like one of them is upset that like they think they've upset their boyfriend essentially.
Oh, something that.
And he's just like, look, I know we're supposed to be like hated enemies. You destroyed my crops and my land and all of these things, and I in turn destroyed whole portions of your army. But I feel like you're being a little harsh on me right now. It's like I'm just trying to fulfill my role. I believe in your competency, and I believe in my competency in this. And there's a lot of hurt feelings happening here in this moment between the two of them, and it's starting to escalate to where they have like prop weapons, but even a prop weapon used properly is still gonna like bean someone in the head if they try hard enough.
We don't have the time to do any like repairs. Excuse me. What seems to be the problem here? She's like sidles in between the two. Well, next to the two.
There's just a sense they're both just kind of like grumpy, and there's a third one who looks like they're the equivalent of the exasperated friend in the circle of friends, who's like, these two do the same exact thing every single time. They get into an argument, they start fussing with one another, and then they start becoming lovey-dovey, and they do even better than they did before. And then the two of them there at the same exact moment both chime in, we do not.
Oh, how adorable.
It's like the most coupley thing ever.
I couldn't help but overhear that there was some issue with perhaps emotional bleed from the story you were telling to what we have going on here now. And, well, while that is something we could probably figure out here, there's probably something we can do as a theatre that will solve this issue long term. So, first of all, would the two of you like to communicate to me what the crux of the issue might be so that I can help solve it?
You have a wash of words come from both of them as they do the thing of like when you have two very enthusiastic people with high energy and high anxiety, they keep talking over one another, and as they do, their volumes start to increase, and it's becoming a thing where like they're now getting, in the attempt to try and mediate this situation, now you are escalating it in this first step of trying to talk it. So now it's a question of, how do you want to approach the situation? Where I'm going to say a potential skill check on here as well, of how do you want to resolve the situation? Because you can tell it's going to pick up pretty bad soon, because they're like starting to get to yelling, and there are other cast members who are noticing.
Yeah, Mother Mercy likes to approach situations within the theatre with as much sort of good faith and a gentle heart as she can. But sometimes it's also important to be like a point of authority that people can like sort of look to sort of like understand what's happening. So I think she's going to use her presence skill to try and get like, to both like soothe, but also like position herself as like someone who needs to take command over the situation. Like, hey, I need you to talk at me one at a time, and we can only do that if you like let me mediate this. So she'll try to be like use her like heightened presence to.
She has a steam around her. Presence is easily one of my favorite name skills in this entire system. It captures so much about charisma without being just charisma. It's so good. So draw the amount of cards equal to your level.
So the skill level is 2, so that's 2 cards.
So you
I
draw 2
believe.
cards.
Perfect. That's a 9 of spades and a 6 of spades.
Okay, so you can feel free to choose between those what you want your degree of success to be. So wait, so you said 9 and 6?
Yeah.
So that would still be, regardless of which one you play, that would be a partial success. You can feel free to choose which of those you would like to bank for later, but regardless of which one you play, as a result of playing them, there'll be a minor problem that arises, but it will still be somewhat successful.
Yeah, I'll use the 6 and bank the 9.
Okay, then. Good call. I love it when players are thinking ahead about stuff. You do this, so you do seem to get them to calm down. They do seem to be in a level of like, okay.
Okay.
And then it's like complication. It would seem the third member of this triad has overheard them arguing. You see a about 9.5 foot tall, like thunder elemental housed in a marionette body just start stomping through. Just sort of like, what's happening? What's going on? Why are you two arguing? Mother Mercy, what is going on here? So you now have another individual who could escalate the situation has come up. It isn't there yet.
Yeah.
You have another person in.
potential, is there to make things worse. Do I know this individual's name at all?
We'll say name is Elizabeth. Goes by Liz to her friends.
Wonderful. I think Mother Mercy, like having the attention of the two and Elizabeth who's just come in, will look to Elizabeth and say, Lizzie, hi. I'm just sort of sorting out this small spat here so that everybody can sort of come away feeling better, having given their role in their performances. And we've all just sort of come to we're coming to an understanding as to like what the issue is and how we can resolve that. And actually, it might be perfect that you're here. Have you ever worked as an intimacy coordinator on any of the productions here, Elizabeth?
There is a look, once again, you know how you mentioned before how if you could see a marionette blush, there is a look of that on her face of like, Sawyer has made use of my services and talents in that department. Yes.
Wonderful. Now, and I look to like the two the couple, and just sort of like, level with them a little bit. Now, look, I understand that you two are very passionate actors and also feel for each other very deeply. And intimacy coordinators here in the theater aren't meant to, put a spotlight on anything scandalous or embarrassing, but they're meant to help you navigate sort of these fraught situations so that you come away feeling all the benefits of the relationship you bring into these productions without any of the hurt. So if you would like to, if you could, communicate with my friend here, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we can get the best play out of everyone here and we can all walk away feeling great.
A few moments pass. There's definitely a couple of very, very tense moments of beats passing. And then the two actors just sort of like have that, I'm sorry, I yelled at you and caused fuss. Oh, I'm sorry I caused the fuss for you. And then you see Elizabeth just have this look of like, you damn fools. God damn it. And then there's just a look of like, why don't I go take them? Tell Sawyer it will be fine. I'll handle this. And she kind of like picks both of them up. Think like upset kitty being dragged away somewhere, very much like that, because remarkably said marionette individual is very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they both have the look of like, we're in trouble, but we're kind of okay with this.
I leave them in your capable hands. And then I glide back to Sawyer.
Very well done. Exceptional work. You seem your ability to manage these situations is impeccable, wonderful, amazing, great, stupendous. Just it's like a stream of complimentary words. And then like has a moment where you see them like kind of stop and they have to you like see the pinwheel is happening in front of Sawyer's face as they have to reload thoughts and words again. If you're neurotypical, you probably don't know what I mean. If you're neuroatypical, you know exactly what I mean. But Sawyer is like finally reboots and is like, oh yes, you have a missive here. Yes, there's a missive.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you very much. I guess I better read this then. A letter for me. How wonderful. And she'll sort of scan through to see like what this says.
Roughly same kind of details as Jewel has. And also like hoping that your like there is an additional note of hoping that your talents can ensure any potential tension that could occur in the group is managed effectively.
Ooh. Well, I guess I'm about to be cast as an intimacy coordinator for a production outside the theater.
Fantastic. Absolutely wonderful. No one else could have done it except possibly myself. But that goes without saying, so I don't even need to say it, but I will.
Of course, of course. Sawyer, it's been an age since I've not been in this layer of mountain. What am I to expect if I'm to take on this task?
Entirely mundane existence, matter of performances that is everyday life, that is both banal and invigorating and revitalizing to the soul in a manner that is often spoken of by the most existential and potentially verbose of poets.
Oh.
Or you'll be in
So-
perpetual danger and it'll be terrible, and something of that sort.
So either way, it'll be sort of like a performance of different varieties.
Yes, what is life but a much less interesting and much more poorly paced performance.
Wonderful. Well, you've given me the perfect reason to look forward to this instead of feel dread. So, a missive from beyond. Why not take it?
Well, I mean, by all means, continue to feel the dread. It's appropriate not to be too sure of oneself unless you're me. But outside of that, carry on as you would, Mother Mercy. You will have a place here in the theater should you return anytime soon. I promise our production. Well, we won't put it on hold, but you'll have time. I'm sure. It can't be that big of a deal that it takes you multiple weeks to do.
Oh, yes. The assembly crew should have everything they need. Should I leave? Yes, this place will run fine without me. This will be fine.
Yes, because remember, they have me. but seriously, do try and be.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Too
carry on.
sweet.
Yes, and it sort of goes, now everyone, if everyone has stopped fooling around for a little bit, let us get back into it. All right. And let us, from the top, remember, we're not just doing magic here, we're doing perfect magic. And begin. And camera pulls away to another layer of Umbra, much more chaotic than the rest of these have been, not just in visuals and sort of way in which the whole region is shaped, just rivers and subterranean tides that are coming in at different spots, and every now and then, like, just imagine like a small bird just flowing along, just flying along, passing by just these little lake beds, and then occasionally you just see the water go. It's a cannonball fires through the air. You hear the sound of a ship being broken open, and there are flags being waved at the tops of these ships, and none of them are of a particularly pleasant group of people. But amidst all of this, we come to a ship currently under attack. And there is a man who, my best description I can give for him is he's like I'm trying to remember the actor who did Bane and Dark Knight Rises, but if you're saying something, Hector, you're muted.
Tom Hardy.
Yes, it's like a mixture. If you had Tom Hardy, but Dev Patel's sort of like jawline and like facial hair and like cheekbones and such, but with the build of like Kratos from God of War. Like this very burly, muscular. This is a man who has been on the seas, who has fought, who has honed his body to a level of near human perfection. And currently he's just a little bit frazzled as in the midst of all of this, you hear sounds of pistols going off. There is a cannonball that is fired and hit one of the ships. And you just hear him crying out, "No, this is my ship. No one causes it to go down but me. Morgan, Morgan, where are you?" Morgan, if you would do us the pleasure of describing your character and how you're responding to this as your father is what we'll say is the most appropriate term.
Yeah.
Is talking to you.
So you see a feminine presenting person with whatever this world's equivalent of like tight black jeans, and then like knee-high like leather boots with stilettos, and she is probably shorter, but those heels are high, so she's standing in at like 5'5" now. She's wearing like a purple like tank top type of a shirt, and she has scrawling tattoos that are like swirls and whirls up and down both arms, and then she's wearing fingerless like leather gloves, and she has a Dutch braid that like all I can say is like it's been teased so it looks almost like a faux hawk, and in lilac, like a vivid lilac color. And like facial feature wise, I would say she resembles a lot of like a young Angelina Jolie, maybe. But the eyes are like really, really golden yellow, almost reflective in the dark. And they have like a thick ring of black around the iris. And she is wearing makeup, but only eye makeup, and it's just cat eye eyeliner that is sharp enough to kill a man. You know, it's on point, real sharp. And she's like, "Yes, father."
It's like, it would appear as though your love is paying us a visit.
And what would you like me to do about this?
Just go have a casual conversation with them, sit down with them, have tea, have some, just kill him, do something, get him away from my ship. And you watch as he's saying this, there is like a mild like elongation of his teeth, almost like there are fangs coming in. It's like there is a look of like partial transformation of this person's form into what? Unknown as of yet, but definitely not the most patient of people.
She just rolls her eyes and she's like, "Fine." And then she actually is going to take a dive off the side of the ship and swim towards the other ship. And as she does, like, there's just like a glimmer as like like what looks like some fins and a tail, like kind of form. And she has jumped into the water and is swimming towards the other ship.
You managed to swim successfully over to the other ship, and as you were climbing up it at the side, are you sneaking in? Are you trying to like sneak into the ship without being detected, or going just straight up? Okay,
absolutely.
This is going to be a skill check. I know you have stealth on this, so I want to see it. Let's do this. So whatever your level is, pull that many cards, and then depending on what you get from that, determine what success you want to do from doing it. I know there's a lot of reiteration of the same basic concept, but a lot of what the skill check is just this, and I want you all to have a practice with it so you have a sense of like, okay, a lot of this boils down to being this simple.
Yeah. So I drew a queen and a 7. I think
Ooh.
I'm actually going to bank the queen and take the 7.
Hey, yes. So mixed success is that you do get on without majority of the ship and taking notice of you. So I'm imagining it's almost like Legolascian levels of like ring up, like swoop up with using whatever ropes or anything, or even just the anchor rope that's holding down the
Mhm.
ship in one spot for
Mhm.
the moment. And then, or well, it wouldn't be holding it down because you're off the ship. You know what I mean? There's like other ropes and stuff attached to things going up, and you end up in the side of it, and you end up in a what looks like the private chambers of someone. There is a beauty mirror here. There
Uh-huh.
is a very fine like coat, a big big ass like pirate hat, like one of the big ones that you get a nice tall feather in,
Mhm.
and you just hear a click as the end of like a gun is cocked, and basically you've snuck in. The rest of the ship isn't aware, but right there, looking at you directly with a small pistol that has a few rounds in it, is I'm just basically gonna say, if you know who Carmen Sandiego looks like, it's Pirate Carmen Sandiego is looking at you.
Where in the world did you come from?
God damn it.
I couldn't help myself.
Yes, also Ida is becoming aware. Yes, Eldritch and Ida, just so you know, if I hadn't already mentioned before, hi, I make very attractive NPCs. I make nothing but attractive NPCs.
Perfect.
Welcome to 8 weeks of this.
Ugh.
Everyone's just like, you need a moment. But like they're looking at you. Also, this person does not looks like they have at most like a nightgown and such on. They look like they were probably woken up from a nap. Like she does not look very put together, and she does not look happy to see you. Hello.
Hello. So nice to see you again, Iril.
Uh-huh. So what brings you on this ship this time?
Well, I was hoping you could all stop shooting at our ship. That would be ideal, you know.
It would be nice. It would be nice, but I don't know. Doesn't feel as interesting, if I'm being perfectly honest.
I mean, we could make it more interesting if you want. Just kind of cracks knuckles.
I could spill your blood here, right now.
You could
If we
try.
really want to do that. And you hear like there's definitely a look of she's ready to fight.
Oh
And
yeah,
I assume you Morgan and this person are ready to go down.
Yeah. Morgan flicks her hands and claws kind of protrude from her fingers. And they're curled, and you know, she didn't even pull a weapon. I mean, she's got a couple of like hand axes on her belt and a bow and quiver on her back, but she's like, I'm feeling the claws today. I just want the closeness of you know, disemboweling you with my bare hands if need be.
Oh, if this were any other context, I would be so interested in that, but I also don't like you enough. You know he's not interested in you, right?
And you think he's interested in you, huh?
Considering how last night was spent, I feel like I have a bit of an idea.
Yes.
And
Can tell
you just
from your cheap night attire and
you see her like pull out a second pistol, and both of them are actually like put right up like
Mhm.
to your chin, like she's messing. And then you just hear a very familiar voice from a bit behind. Now, ladies, do we really need to get into this? And you see a very dashing, very smug looking individual who I'll say I don't remember his name exactly. It's like Tom
Alaric.
Sitchfield or something like that. No, not
Oh.
no, for a
Oh.
reference for what physically he looks like, but
Oh.
think Dream from the live action Sandman adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Think like that, but a little bit more rugged, a little bit more seasoned,
Mm-hmm.
but definitely has that kind of like almost aloof energy if he wasn't so
Mhm.
didn't look so goddamn smug and arrogant.
Yeah,
Like-
I would say his bone structure almost resembles Matt Bomer's, like, but with like darker hair, you know, and maybe a little more vivid eyes, but you know, very
there's a
attractive.
look about him. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
definitely like also aware he's attractive.
Yes.
Like in that really annoying, frustrating kind of way where you're like, you can't be
Yes.
aware you're hot. And it's like, why not? I was born this amazing. Like has that
Exactly.
energy about him.
Exactly.
But yes, you hear the voice of Alfaric saying, no, we don't need to draw blood here.
Maybe just a little.
Dear,
Morgan's
don't
like claws are just kind of
Dear,
creeping up.
dear, we need not involve the bedroom at this hour. I think that'd be something we do right now. And sort of wait, the worst kind. I'll take care of it. Send my apologies, everyone. Damn it. So you also hear the sounds above of the cannon fire and everything has stopped. Like it's been almost like instant. And there is a moment of Alfred being like, why don't we go to my private chambers and we have a discussion about this?
Are you going to continue a ceasefire? I mean, maybe we could go one day without you trying to kill my father.
Really, it's honestly whatever gets you to do what I want. If I'm being honest.
What is it today?
There's some sort of letter I came into my possession. I feel like it's supposed to actually go to you. I'm led to believe. I think it just went astray. Or maybe I just took it. You'll never know. But it seems as though someone's interested in having you go do a little errand for them.
That's not unusual.
Doesn't seem like it immediately wants a slit throat, though.
Well, once in a while I can do things a little less bloody. Of course, not with her around.
Yeah, you see the other woman has been just shooting daggers at you and now at Alfarac as well. And she starts to say something, and then he says, Wilhelmina, we'll discuss this later. Don't worry.
Moore gives her a cocked smile and then just blows her a kiss. Bye, Willie.
You follow into the captain's quarters. He just sits you down. There's a like small like almost like crystalline sculpture that looks like it's some sort of creature's head. In the center there's like a singular, like very like almost gold, like topaz gem at the center of it, and it's like right out in the open. You know, it's one of those things there's like, if anyone were to try it, like Alfarek is the kind of person who leaves fancy shit out to dare someone to try and take it, because the last 3 people who tried died right there where they stood. They like got gutted immediately.
Absolutely.
So, my sweet, my lovely, what do you think about doing this?
What does the letter say?
Something about the Heartstone being... Nah, the person who's supposed to have brought it back hasn't come in on time.
And that's not normally what I procure, people.
They're not asking for people. They're asking you to take the stone up.
Oh.
With a few others.
I don't normally work in teams.
Oh, I know you to know how to cooperate when necessary. You seem like you're a team player in some instances.
Well, if you want me to do this, what do I get out of it?
You get to leave my ship alive. Your father gets to live.
So you're gonna
And,
cease fire until I get back?
Oh, yes. More importantly, the poison currently aimed at the tip of an arrow right at him won't immediately pierce his person and leave him ready, gasping for air.
Do we have to play games every time?
You enjoy it, don't you? Like tries to like lean a hand over and like do like the soft like little cup of the gin.
All right. Well, if you agree to a ceasefire until I get back, at least.
Fair enough.
You and Radburn are going to have to work out your issues, though.
Considering he's keeping my prize from me, you get the very strong sense prize is in reference to you.
She just kind of like rolls her eyes, and then when she opens her mouth, she's also got just a little bit longer canines than she did earlier. Like maybe she's in a little bit of a mood.
You're being feisty today. I like that.
I can't believe you haven't made Willie walk the plank yet. Seems you'd get bored of her.
Oh, I like people who like to listen to what I tell them to do.
I think you keep her around because she irritates me.
If I needed you to be irritated, I'm sure I could make reference to something else.
All right. Well, hand over the letter.
Passes the letter.
She just reads it quickly to see when and where she's supposed to be.
See, depths of the mountain at the layer only referred to as the hearth. And there's script on it that suddenly appears only when you start looking at it.
She gives kind of a cocky grin as she reads it.
She says, Lysandra, there may be a way to bring you back to what you once were.
Then she's just like intensely reading. It goes from aloofness, like, what is this? What is this little errand that I'm being sent on, to laser focus on it.
Find something interesting in the letter.
Nope, not at all. She just kind of grins a little and puts it in her back pockets, because I imagine these jeans have actual pockets, just because.
Yeah, it's my fantasy world. All jeans and all dresses have some form of pocket. God damn it, and not fake pockets.
Yes.
Like actual pockets that hold a substantial amount of things in it.
Yes.
This will be the thing that actually causes me to go on a rant. Actual pockets, people.
What do we want? Pockets.
Pockets. Don't want to interrupt, but as a historical costumer, I would like to point out that denim jeans, as we know them, actually started in the 1700s. We've had jeans for a very long time because denim is a type of linen. It's like a sub type of linen. So we've actually had jeans since like the golden age of piracy.
Yes.
Yes. So like farmhand, they were more typical amongst workers, farmhands. That's the reason why we associate jeans with cowboys. Is because they've been wearing denim. Denim is a very, very old fabric. So I just wanted to point that out as somebody who does historical costuming, that piratey denim jeans are totally possible, from a historical standpoint. And with fantasy, we can do whatever we want.
Yes, I love it.
Here I insert the more you know. But
The more you know, Rainbow.
yes, but as Alpharek just sort of like turns you around and just sort of walks you to the door of his quarters, and he says, I wish you well on your little errand, and I promise he'll be alive until once you get back here. You have my word, and why would I lie to you?
All right. Well, thanks for the ceasefire.
Yeah,
Catch
you
you
definitely
in a week or so. I don't know how long this will take, but see you then.
like as you're going out, you see Wilhelmina doing the equivalent of one of these, like right at you, just like, see you.
And behind her back, Moore has her middle finger sticking up with the claw.
Like, fuck you.
Flipping the bird.
And we cut away from this scene to another layer sometime later. And it's the location you're all gathered together in. It's best to think sort of like the way that like a quarry kind of is dug into, except think a little bit more terraced in how the rock layers are split apart from one another. And this sort of deep sort of like indentation into the ground that opens up into more terraces, it's part of this larger layer in which light is here non-existent almost from sunlight. So the light sources people have used instead have been bioluminescent flora. And there's almost this, so I'm going to be this blatant about it. For anyone who's ever watched Janelle Monáe's Make Me Feel video that has the like bisexual lighting overtone to it, where it's a common color palette that's like very like almost like magenta, violet, purples kind of coloration to it. There's this low glow where this layer has different periods in which it goes through different colors and different sort of things that light up the area. So think kind of in the way that think bioluminescent equivalent of like small like gas lamps at different spots, but it's almost like plants have been cultivated in a certain way to create the same kind of effect. But there's this dull, low color like wash over here. And you all meet, you've had the chance to talk with one another to kind of get a vibe for each other, see one another's dispositions. And yes, Aldrich, this is you should expect this for however many times you tune in. Much gay, very gender, wow lighting. And it's right about now where you've sort of been told to gather here. You've each gotten your housing, whether you wanted to be housed together with the group or separately. You've got the chance to chat and meet one another, so we don't have to do the on screen, hi, how are you, what is your name, what is this, you know each other's names and such, and general demeanors and vibes. And you've been called here for something that only is ever supposed to happen once every cycle, in which the Heartstone needs to be revived, as in this quarry, almost like the way that veins and capillaries flow and kind of coalesce together to make this central almost like manger housing spot for this beautiful dual-toned white and black jewel, the heartstone that serves as the source of energy for this entire mountain. This ceremony that happens here, this whole thing, is known as the Umbral Light Ceremony. It is a moment in which someone is chosen to become the Lightbringer. But instead here, you've all been called to take up the role of a collective Lightbringer. And as we move into break, the last sort of sight that you all see is, let's see if I can get this description right. There is a being, a very tall, kind of feminine form, but the gender is very indeterminate. It's almost the ways that the lighting shifts so constantly, the gender of this individual also shifts pretty constantly. Like at one moment, the lighting makes them seem very strong jaw masculine code. Another moment, like the softest, like big, happy, full cheeks, like feminine. Another one, there's just such a gender ambiguity to them. But the outfit is, if you imagine the roots of a tree, the way that they kind of spindle and spread out, these have coalesced into a massive, almost like, think ballroom gown hoop skirt formed of crystal, of bioluminescent flora, of shadow and light, to this form whose hair is the most beautiful set of curls you have ever seen, and a face that speaks only with wisdom, kindness, and also intensity. And you hear her say, "Welcome all who have gathered here. My name is Camellia, and we welcome our honored guests." And that is where we're going to take a break, everybody. So we'll be back in about roughly 10 minutes. So get water, everyone, bio break, all that, and we'll see you shortly for continuing on this little bit of the story as we now have our assembled group of loner dude taking care of brother gardener, slightly tired production assistant, and by panic chaos pirate question mark with maybe lichen of some kind, but we'll see y'all in about 5 minutes. 10 minutes, pardon. I just finished saying it. 10 minutes. See y'all. And I believe we're back. Yes, the screen is slightly delayed, so you get to see me awkwardly doing the count right before I lead into that. So hello there, everybody. Welcome back to Aether Seekers of the Heart here on Horde of Tales. We have had an amazing bit of introduction to the different homes of our individual player characters, and now they are gathered here in the deepest layer of Umbra, the World Shadow Mountain, meeting the figure presiding over the Umbral Light ceremony, Camellia, who at best approximation seems to be somewhere between celestial, elemental, and question mark as far as background and such.
Does it matter? She's a 10.
Yeah, pretty much. She's a 10. She's a 10. But she sort of like is there's a very Lady Galadriel kind of calmness about her at any given moment. And she sort of like reaches very delicate like movements and just sort of like calls out to him. He says, "Come. I believe we have 5 of you should be here. I believe one was delayed somewhat, but come. Move closer."
Move in.
I have taken the time to reach out to all of you. Having peered into the very heart of this mountain and found it asking for help. And so I have reached out to all of you. Though your stories may be different, though your abilities and backgrounds may be very different, I have faith that you will do well in working with one another, and that we can task you with this important role. Come closer. And sort of like beckons you forth and sort of walks you over to, again, in front of this massive dual tone colored white and black. It looks like the different pieces of crystal and gems that have formed into it. It's like a diamond that's taken on all colors of the light spectrum all at once. And then in the half of it that is closer to white, and then the black half is like, think that black that absorbs like all color. Like there's a very specific like black tone and color that like absorbs all given light within it. Yes, Vanta Black. Someone mentioned to me. And sort of just like you see her raise her hands, and they sort of make this gesture almost to like rupture it apart. I know that this is very sudden, and we ask much of you now. But I assure you that we will make this process and this journey worth your time, whether it be motivated by good, by community care, or other personal interests. We thank you now in this moment as you join us for the Umbral Light ceremony. I will need some time to invest this safely with the means to stay with you long enough to make it to the peak. You may feel free to say any words in regards to being given this task and this role, if you would like. But if not, we may continue. Sort of like gives the floor to you, and you start to notice that like there is like a small crowd of people who've been around. I would say for Jewel in particular, you do notice like people are looking at you. They are noticing like you are there. Morgan, you are most visible than you've been in probably a while. Mercy, this is pretty standard for you. You're used to people looking at you. And I don't know how sociable Esper is, but yeah.
Esper's relatively sociable. He's used to participating in like big, like esoteric community rituals. So, and he also takes the time out to like talk to people and get to know everyone and really be as non-threatening as he possibly can, because he realizes he is tall, he is imposing, he carries a weapon, and he doesn't want the people of Umbra to fear him. He wants to be looked to. So I'm shaking hands and learning people's names and just being very warm and friendly. I will also do something at the beginning of the ceremony that I have not done since the moment everyone met me. I take off the mask. And underneath is you see the eye, and it's just perfectly shaped. Like you don't know what kind of magic, but it just looks like a really pretty blue eye, maybe like a crystal sky blue, maybe. Like I said, it's a blue quartz. And then his other eye is brown, like a dark brown of like the deep, deep earth. And he has fair skin, because, you know, not quite, there's a bit of touch, like a little bit, because he's fracted bits. So it's got sun-kissed yet pale. I'm not really sure how to, like, it's all in the extremities. Like here are the pieces, is the color. And he has just a big, bold, like almost like a dark brown, like sort of there's a shade of reddish neutrals that sort of like brick, blood, and bark are like all in, and depending on the angle you look at, but it's burnt. Like the skin was burned and then it was healed. Like there's no scarring, but it's just it's all covered, this whole area. And then in contrast to the brown, to the like the burn. And I think Juville, you will probably recognize this as the healing marks. This is what bites or attacks from a lava eater look like when they've been healed. And they are very handsome. One just and it's like all of these small flaws all just sort of amplify like the strong jaw and the kind features that they have.
My favorite trope of all player characters. Which path will you take? The path of chaos gremlin trash boy, or the path of absolute platonic ideal handsome beautiful version of me? I love both paths people take. So we have that. Joel, do you interact with anyone? Do you say anything in
No,
regards to any of this?
he stays away from the crowd as much as possible, just observing all of this. Because this is a little bit much.
Mother Mercy or Morrigan?
Mother Mercy is like, she's very used to people watching her, but she's very used to watching people, like, for people watching her when she is like putting on a performance, or like looking to have something for some sort of like transaction. So she's sort of like figuring her like place out here right now, and she's sort of like frantically like fiddling. I think, what was the name of the sort of ethereal figure that's been speaking to us?
Amelia.
Amelia. She looks to Amelia and says, "Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity that we've been given for this. This is unprecedented of the highest magnitude, but why us?"
We felt we needed individuals of particular talents, both sociable and unscrupulous as well. We thought it would be best to have people of a variety of skill sets and such, and who had these sorts of dispositions where, while tension could occur, we think more likely success is to happen with the right set of people working together, and we think the five of you, will work very well together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Like counts the heads of like her new companions, who've like flitted out. Has a lot of trouble finding more in Juville, who've probably scampered elsewhere, maybe.
Yeah, looking around like so awkwardly, like, why are these people around me? Is there gonna be a brawl? Like, what are we doing?
It's like, what is this concept of support? I don't know what people are rooting for me, and I don't need to like kill somebody or like steal something.
This isn't like in the pits where we just brawl it out. Like, they're cheering for me, and I haven't punched anybody yet. This is weird. It's new.
And she finishes off just by asking, you said there would be 5 of us. When will the 5th member be joining up with us?
We are hoping that they will be here shortly enough. There are chemical work at times. The chemical trading and lore keeping that they do in other circles and layers often requires a lot of their attention, so they may have just been delayed. They'll be here when they feel better. Inlore reason is delayed by being a nerd.
Yes.
Out of game reason until they feel better.
Yeah.
We miss you, Nikki. We hope you'll be with us next week. But
Yes.
Yes.
it sort of gives you a sense of like it's just been a delay. But yeah, that's the answer she gives you, is that they'll be here soon enough.
Incredible. Then with all the information, this is a role I have not yet started, but I'm so excited to go on this little adventure. And we'll sort of like disappear back into just sort of the waiting line to leave space for like more in Juville.
Man, there is definitely, like Mother Mercy, there is you have the almost like belle of the ball effect happening with some of the crowd where they're just like, it's Mother Mercy. There's like a few people. There's not roses that grow here, but someone's gotten like a whole like wrapped up set of like freshly cut like flora that there's like indigenous and like native to this area, and it's just like gotten it to you, and it's in like various tones of red, so a lot of like loving, affectionate sort of tones. Like the implication is very clear, and it's like it's like, and it happens multiple times, so it's like there's a moment of like there's a pair of very fine handsome gentlemen, there's a pair of very fine ladies, there's one very tall, like, I'm gonna say not so much that this woman is built like a tank, but she's built like a super tank.
Yes.
Like very clearly muscular, works around the fields and everything. And she just like has the most imposing aura you've ever seen in someone. And like very like stiffly walks up to you with one bloom of a very beautiful flower to try and like hand it over. Like it's nearly being crushed in her hand. But she like doesn't even say anything, just like hands it to you, and then sort of like has a look of like, please take this for the love of God.
With two hands, she like gently like plucks it from her hand and like puts it in her hand. And with like her other sets of hands, she like gently like takes their hand in hers and just like, thank you so much. This really goes with like the whole ensemble. Yeah, I will treasure this on my adventure. Thank you very much.
My wife and I are very big fans, and this is possibly one of the best days of my life. Perhaps no other day will beat it.
Well,
Just passes out.
yeah.
Just straight up passes out. It's like I am too gay to actually function in this moment. I am both too gay and too fandom, overwhelmed by fandom feelings.
We've all been there.
I just met Mother Mercy.
And then Mother Mercy, you're probably like the closest to Camellia in this, because like Esper is obviously interacting with folks. Jewel is just sort of like fucked off to away from the crowd, just watching, but like nope. Morgan is probably like there. Morgan, you do have some admirers as well. There are some folks who like there. You have the equivalent of like someone sizing you up and just being like, yeah. Like you have the goth equivalent of like, you're cool, I guess.
Yeah. Are they like groupies, but they're goth, like gothies? Like
Yeah. I didn't initially think that, but I'm gonna say yes. My answer is yes, is how I'm gonna do
Love
that.
It.
But Mother Mercy, you actually hear Camellia say, oh, well, that's strange. And you watch as the lights and glow that's been happening with the Heartstone, it stops for a moment. Huh, that's strange. It seems as though something is getting in the way of it. This will just require a bit more of my attention, but there's nothing to fear.
I assume that's why we're all here, to help with.
Yes. I will finish doing my part in this, and then we will be able to transfer the whole of the stone and components to each of you. And it's right around this time that you start hearing sounds getting closer. You start hearing like skittering somewhere. You start hearing kind of leathery wings flapping.
That seems unnerving.
And you see that there is this kind of almost sentient moss that's native to this area that begins to form up nearby to you.
Mm-hmm.
And it forms the outline of a humanoid shape, but it's very clearly it's plant matter, but it's humanoid shape, but it almost looks like there's like broken shards of crystal that's been very awkwardly and like forcibly jammed into pieces of its form. And then Morgan, you would clock, you see someone dressed in garb very similar to your lair that looks like it's someone who's obviously like a pirate, but their head is like a crown of crystals like jammed into it. Right where their heart is there's like someone like tried to almost like stab them and leave like a triangular piece right in it. And the eyes have gone bright, like yellow white. And as they're getting closer, as you hear them, you start hearing this like low echo of sounds coming from all of them. And you just start hearing the following. Help us, 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 help us. They're here. Order, 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 order. Yeah.
Is this after the conclusion of the ceremony,
No,
or is this
the
right
ceremony
before?
stopped
This
for a
is
moment
during.
while this is during. And there's just like an audible like silence that's happening as these sounds slowly start filling it in. And there are creatures. There looks like something maybe like it's like a crystal skink lizard is like just like skittering around nearby you. There is a bat that has its wings where the joints of where the leathery parts of it are.
Mhm.
There's fragments of like crystal dust that's been formed into it and shoved into that. The pirate has what looks like a curved sword and a pistol that's being drawn. And you now all of a sudden hear as knocking through a portion of the crowd, you see a massive like subterranean like crystalline bear where like its eyes have been replaced with like topaz fragments. Its heart has had elements of like amethyst and sapphire, and its claws look like someone like if you've ever been unfortunate to step on like a broken glass and how it all just kind of collects on your body, its claws look like whole portions of crystal and gems have been like dug into where its paw is and are now extending the nails.
I think Mother Mercy's first sort of thought to this is to make sure, is everybody safe? How do we get people out of here immediately? Because it seems like something's going horribly wrong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see Camellia, like she raises her hands and it looks as though she forms like she's trying to form a barrier around the Heartstone because it looks like all the different creatures are starting to move towards it. And you watch as like you hear a pistol shot fire from the like pirate figure, and the barrier holds up and she says, I need you all to buy me some time. Please, I need you to just I will be able to reinforce this and maybe push them all away, but I need you all to buy me some time right now. And
Okay.
please help
All
out
right.
everyone here. I have to focus to keep this up.
Morgan just takes out, I don't know what you would use to write sigils in this, but she's gonna try to like create
your
like a
call.
yeah. Let's see. Maybe like a piece of like crystalline amethyst. She's just gonna like kind of take that and like draw in like I don't know if there's like dirt or like stone or whatever, but like start carving with it like in the stone, like a circle around to try to like create like a barrier ward or something so that these things can't get into her.
Yep.
Yeah. I am at the same time that Morgan is doing that. I'm gonna look at her and say, good idea. I'm gonna take my staff, slam it onto the ground, and you see all these sigils start to glow on the staff, and he kind of spins it and like puts it out forward, and I'm going to activate shield, my my mage armor, but I'm going to spend a potential to extend the protection of my mage armor to like reinforce the
The barrier.
barrier of protection. Like I'm trying to flow my ether magic. As you can see, this it's scary at first because it looks like light, like coming out. It's not real sunlight because it doesn't shatter everybody, but it looks like it, and it just sort of flows out, you know, from the sigils and creates this a barrier around him and around Camilla.
So I don't know how much I can use here because of the system.
I'm
and
basically
everything.
letting everyone do like one thing, and then
Yeah.
this will be a full initiative as we move into a combat encounter. And this will be, we'll get to like a little bit of this, and this will be the spot where we're gonna leave off for this session because I want to respect people's time. But yeah, it's a matter of what one thing, you get one thing either. What do you think would be your first instinct in this instance?
Like to keep off these things and probably also interfering with what the others are doing, like Mother Mercy and Esper trying to get the people away. It's like, okay, there's shit coming towards us, like instinct from pure instinct of like creating like a somewhat like a barrier of fire in front of like the POTUS and everything.
Okay. Do you have an ability in order to do that, or are you using a skill?
I mean, I have pyromancy as a skill.
Then
Yeah,
what I want you to do is I want you to do a skill check for me. So draw for equivalent to whatever your pyromancy is.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
So-
That's a level 2, so I get 2 cards. I guess I'm taking the 7.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen.
Yes.
That is a partial success. So depending on the 2 that you've drawn, you can bank one of those
I'm banking the 2.
for an interesting purpose later on. Now, what's going to happen is that is a partial success. So what happens is that this will create. You're reinforcing the barrier. You said correct?
Yes. So with
No.
armor,
I'm asking Jewel. I'm asking Jewel first.
Oh, sorry, Jewel. Gotcha.
That's who I was talking to. Jewel.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, yeah.
Jewel.
Why
So
not?
you're reinforcing the barrier. So this will be a case where it works partially, and it'll be harder for other creatures to try and make any sort of offensive movement towards it. However, if any of you stay in the zone where the magic is happening, because you are used to your own heat, not everyone else is used to that heat. So basically anyone but you who stays in the zone will take a stress from being there. I think it makes sense. You're like, you don't know how to adjust for these people. You're like, I guess this is hot.
I mean, yeah, it's like, so I know what my character is able of, but like not the rest around them. It's like
So that is Jules' thing. Esper, so if you're doing that, do you have an ability? You said you had an ability. So yeah, that will also, I'll say your thing, you can choose between, if someone is going to take damage, you can have yours take, I'll say, how much potential did you spend? Did you spend 1? Hector, I'm asking. Esper, did you spend 1 potential? I'm asking you directly.
Woo! My bad. I spent 1, yes.
Okay, so you spent 1 potential. So I'll say everyone has 1 instance that if you want to help protect yourselves as part of protecting the barrier, your spending that potential will give everyone 1 stress worth of protection
Okay.
of damage happening in that zone.
Okay.
So
A quick rules question. Do I still have my chew? Because my barrier strength for my mage armor is based on my Aether RPG skill, and that's
yes,
level
your
2.
personal armor or wards will still remain the same. This is just an additional thing you're trying to use that ability for. You spent
Cool.
the potential, so it just happens. That's the benefit of Lumen games, is that the design philosophy is abilities just do it. There
Thank
is
you.
no, if you have to try or guess. No, it's only skill
Awesome,
stuff that's
awesome.
open to a chance of failure. This one, you've spent it, it happens. So that's that. Mother Mercy and Morrigan, are either of you doing anything before it pops off?
Yeah, I was just doing a sigil, but this is awkward with Juvel because I water wall.
So are you using an ability or a skill?
Skill.
Okay, so
This is weird.
draw for the skill, and depending on what degree of success you get, I'll tell you what happens as an interaction, because I know exactly what the complication is going to be.
Oh, that doesn't count because it's a joker.
Yeah, no, ignore the joker.
I got an ace.
You got an ace?
An ace of hearts.
Oh, that's low. Aces are low in this game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So okay, so here's what happens. I love the same system already. So
Steam
here
wall.
kind of I love this so much already. So
did they say, yeah, we can work together?
yes, you can.
I don't see that here.
You're at a good start for trying to work together. So you're playing an ace, which is a failure with a complication. So you automatically get 1 potential. There is a complication, so that I'm going to add in. And Morgan, mark your omen tracker.
Oh no. Oh no.
No.
We've already had 2 people mark their omen tracker. It's great. First session, we already have omen tracker working. I'm excited about this. So
Do I get
here's what's
stressed
going
from
to
the
happen.
water?
No,
Okay,
I'm gonna
little
make it
stressed
something
out.
else actually. So
Oh fuck.
the fire. So here's the thing for imagining scenario for this. There are 4 zones of terrain here.
Yeah.
So movement will have to happen between those. Zone 4 is going to be where the Hearthstone is. You all collectively, your objective for this is you need to last at least 3 rounds of making sure the creatures don't break through the barrier, which will have an undisclosed amount of protection. And effectively, its health will be a certain amount of wards that I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but you can do things to try and protect it. Now, the firewall would have just hurt you all. The steam wall, which is now becoming a small river of water, is now creating an effect where it didn't interact very well with Joel's pyromancy. And so anytime someone ends their turn in zone 4, they're going to be punted over to zone 3 immediately. So you will not be taking damage because you can't literally end in zone 4 now, but you basically can't do anything close range to protect it unless you spend to make an increase in the range of your abilities. So it's dangerous to be there. It's a literal like flowing steam wall, but it also means that it's not going to let you be anywhere there. So with that being the case, I need initiative from everybody.
Oh,
So
yes.
initiative is going to be everyone draws a card.
Okay.
Right, and
The value of that card will determine when you can take a turn
3.
during the encounter. However, you can choose to trade initiatives as you see fit, depending on what you drew. So if someone was like, I got a king, but I don't want to go first, you can swap with someone else.
Oh, I
Two.
got a 3.
2, 3.
I got a 2.
I got a
It's
6
good
of
that we're
clubs.
getting all the twos at the start.
Okay. So I'm gonna write this down for my moment. So we have a 2. How many 2s do we have? We had 2 of them. So that is
2,
gonna
yeah.
be
I imagine we're
that
both
is-
just confused at what we did. Like we're sitting there like, huh?
so Jill and Morgan are 2. 3 was Esper, correct?
Yep.
And then was that 6 you said, Mother Mercy?
With the high initiative at 6.
Everything you need
So
to have a
I've drawn my initiative because I also do mine. So I want to tell y'all what the luck was on this run.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Jack, Queen, Ace, 10, Ace.
Yep, you're fucked.
Well, we've already failed.
True.
Make new characters.
I mean, not yet. You're not
Not
dead
yet.
Do the monsters track that?
Okay, so this
They-
time I
they-
play the
I'm tracking
pirate.
their
Jenna
initiative.
plays the paladin.
Yes. Yep.
So
Switcheroo.
I will be kind and I will make because I love sharing these, I will make the Shattered Bear. That one will be last. I love that I can write in my initiative order bear.
Brr.
Burr. Burrs down here. The bear and the I'll put
I'm barely
the-
worried about the bear.
adding more health to my creatures real quick.
Oops.
And then the Shattered Pirate, Crystal Skink, and the Shattered Bat will be top. Okay, so for visualizing that, 4 zones. Right now, you are in zone 3 now because of the mishap with the magic.
Mhm.
They are all in zone 1. So you have 2 zones over. So there's a variety of different actions you can do on your turn. You have a number of actions. You have a number of actions to what you draw for your hand. So everyone draws 3 cards right now. That will
Okay.
be your hand. And on your turn, you can use them to do different actions or spend them in different ways. So burn them in order to do other aspects, whether it's applying a status effect to an attack you
Can-
managed to make.
Can I exchange one card with the banked card?
Yes, you can choose to spend, I believe it's you spend potential in order to do a banked card, or you can burn a card to substitute for that.
Okay.
So you could very well, because I think, did you pick a king, or was it earlier?
Hmm?
Are you the one who got the king? I'm trying to remember who banked a
No,
really
I
nice
banked a
card.
2. But I
Oh.
have an ability where this might not even be that bad.
Oh, right. You
Oh.
did pick that set where if you get it in a sequence, it does actually do something
Mm.
positive for you, which I love. That's a
Mm.
thing. It's like,
Oh.
I didn't suck. This was all part of the plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to put party all right now is in zone 3, and then all the combatants are zone 1. So top of the order, it is going to be the bat. So just so you all know what's happening for this, the creatures each get 2 actions on their turn, which movement between zones is always going to cost 1 action. It doesn't cost a card, but it always costs 1 of your actions to do during a turn. And if you look in the reference page, there is a shorthand for how different things can play out during combat. The bat is going, let's see. Yep. It is going to fly over to zone 2. So the bat is now in zone 2. So it's 1 zone away from you. And it is going to use its ability Sonic Screech, where it lets out a terrible, like piercing scream noise. And someone pick a number between 1 and 4. 3. Okay, Esper, you are afflicted by Sonic Screech. So, Esper, I want you to choose. So you feel the effects of this take hold on you. Now I want you to choose between, do you want to become afflicted by disorient or by hex? These are status effects that are listed in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But one of them is going to hit you right now.
Gotcha.
I'm pulling up the status effects for my own benefit.
Disorient or hex. I'm looking at them right now. Oh no, those are potion tags. Sorry.
If it's either page 91 or page 126, I'm pulling it up right now, so I have for my own benefit. But yeah, it is basically the bat flies down, looks at all of you, just like loud, like unpleasant, like screech noise just yells out, and now you just see like a burst of sonic light just starts hitting Esper.
Oh, what's afflicted? Because like I don't see afflicted. I see disorient.
Hold on. No,
okay,
I said you are afflicted with disorient or hex.
Oh, or hex. Got it. Hex is target discards and redraws highest non-king card for each of its skill checks for the duration of the status. Oh my god. Okay.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
The other one's really bad too.
Yeah, that's why I gave it that. It doesn't do any damage. It's just a status effect. This one is a debuff creature. It doesn't like you.
Okay.
Luck doesn't like you because Kestrel.
Well, if I take disorient, that cancels out the reach for my staff, and if I take hex, it's just gonna get rid of all of my like high cards.
It's hot. Your call, but it's a rough.
You know what? I'm gonna do the honorable thing. Because that's one of my values, and I'm going to take hex.
Okay.
So that I can continue to use my staff to subdue these foes instead of like killing them and drawing my sword. Because if I've drawn my sword, I've already lost.
Yep. Because remember too, it's only skill checks. If you use abilities, that ignores that effect entirely.
Exactly.
It just means you have to burn potential in order to get around it.
Yeah, so I will just sort of like however the just sort of like kind of fall to one knee and then like get up and then re-ready myself as I take hex.
Okay.
Note on my
so it is taking its actions. And that is it for that creature. It then goes to the skink. The skink is going to move over 1 zone, and then it is going to use. Is it gonna do that? Yeah, it's gonna do that. You watch as the skink, which is like this little like salamander, like lizard just crawling along the ground, just kind of appears, and you watch as like a burst of, as like a little globe of light suddenly pops, like emerges out of the end of its tail, and it flicks it over to zone 3 where all of you are at. And immediately, any magical effects you have on are canceled out as it uses a stasis field to nullify all of your magic effects. That's all it can do, but it basically just said no.
That's our no lizard. Oh,
It's the no lizard.
Nope.
And now that's it for that turn. The pirate is just going to take cover, which is going to give them an increase to their armor of 1, because their skill is only 1. And then they are going to fire off a shot, or they're going to try and fire off a shot at one of you. So I have to pull one card. So I'm going to move this over here, over there, over there. Sorry, managing a lot of cards, a lot of tabs. That is a 9. That is a hit. So it is going to someone give me number 1 through 4.
Again,
Kestrel's washing their hands of all of this. Like, nope, I did last time. I ain't doing it
someone
again.
else can take that evil.
How about whoever got hit last round chooses the next number?
I think that's a great system.
Yeah.
Somebody has to do 1 through 4. Somebody either say it. I will start doing that too.
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I did. That's why I put. Sorry, I apologize.
Okay,
I should have
Mother Mercy.
vocalized.
You feel a crystalline like bullet
No.
just
Oh,
goes
that.
and fires off to hit you.
No.
It's only going to do 1 stress, but you get the sense that this enemy does not want to get close to all of you. They just want to stick back and just fire shots at you as best they can. So that is those 3 combatants' turns, and now it goes to the entire party's turn. So first up is Mercy. So again, 2 zones away, you have everyone but the bat. You have the bear, the pirate, and the moss. And a zone away from you is the bat and the skink lizard.
And just to remind me, when I take stress, that is marked against my skills.
It will be marked against your skills unless you have wards or armor. And the order of damage that's done is to wards, and then to armor, and then to skills. And the stress happening to your skills is always distributed however you would like them to be. They don't have to immediately target your best ability. So it's giving you the agency to decide what you start getting more and more like drained out of.
Mother Mercy doesn't have armor, so I'm gonna mark that against.
It's like, suddenly wishing I got armor.
Did any of us get armor?
Yeah.
I fight
No.
ghosts, you know. and I
Esper
need to-
did. I don't know if Jewel did.
You
The
are
mages
I
chose not to do it.
Right. I don't even know what the stats for mundane armor is, if I'm telling you.
I don't even know
For-
what's going on with armor, but
So armor is just depending on the abilities you've gotten. If any of your abilities did give you armor, so you have mage armor as a passive or active.
Yeah. I
So
have
it's
it
equivalent.
as
It's equivalent to whatever the skill level it's attached to is. That's the amount of armor you get.
gotcha. I understand. It just made it seem like there is when you look in the equipment section, it says that everybody gets armor for free.
Yeah, if you did also take armor, it makes sense to me to give you like a stress or 2 based off of that. But if you didn't take armor, which
Okay.
I'm assuming Mother Mercy did not, given the expression on Kestrel's
Yeah,
face.
no.
No, I
she
took
doesn't
armor.
have
You took armor, so you get some stress to block, which I love.
do we
But
need
so-
it as a skill to use it, right?
No. The armor of your equipment is just I'm just letting you have that. / I think it makes sense from what the text has said that you have like a bit of protection, like stress protection from that.
Okay.
But like some folks are like, I chose armor because I chose the skill that makes me good at it. Versus some folks are like, I don't want armor, but I'm protecting myself. So I chose magic with protection.
Yeah.
It's really dependent on what you chose
Yeah.
and what you did.
the third option where you do neither. So Mother Mercy, so she doesn't wear armor. She's been hurt by this bullet, but she is starting to get very miffed. She's very displeased. I think what she will do is, I don't know to the extent to which you can act and do flavorful things with this game, but she'll use her soul forging ability to have these sort of like glowy golden sort of tendrils start to appear from like the wrists of her joints, from like both sets of her arms, to make these almost marionette string whips. And if I can, she would like to. Oh wait, I have to discard if I want to move a zone, don't I?
You want to move a zone, you have to discard a card.
I can
Remember, you
discard-
have 3 cards, so you have 3 actions for this turn. If you
And
choose to, you can not use all of them, and you'll have it saved for the next. You will, I believe it's you have it saved for the next turn. I'll double check the specifics on that, but key idea in general is you always have 3 actions unless you have taken an extra in the previous one, and that goes against the next turn.
gotcha. And with my banked card from earlier, do I keep that as well, or is that?
Yeah, that stays. That stays between sessions until you use it.
So could I discard a banked card?
Yes.
I'm discarding
That's
that
the
too.
benefit of also banking cards. It lets you get
Oh.
around other things.
That's really cool.
Bank cards let you, it gets around spending potential or having to use one of the cards you want to hold on to in your main hand. It's kind of the benefit of using it that way. There's a lot of nifty, tiny things that are hard to remember all of them, but they are all meant to be things that you could forget about later on if you don't care about them or use them. And there's a lot of cool interactions that happen from that.
Yeah, because I drew a really good hand for this turn. So I'll discard the 9, and I'd like to move to the zone with the flying creature in it, if at all possible.
Yes, it will cost an action, but you won't cost a card, if that makes sense.
So
Do
okay.
that?
So that has been discarded. That action's been taken. For my second action, I'd like to do the soul forging ability to summon these like marionette string whips.
Okay.
With
And
a
that's
soul
an
forging
ability?
Yes. Oh
So
no,
you're
that's a
spending-
skill.
That's a skill. Okay, so you're doing a skill check. So are you trying to do something to defend yourself, or are you trying to do something to deal with the bat creature that just did the screech?
I would like to use these like sort of marionette tendrils, if you will, to grab a hold of the bat and sort of ground it.
Oh, I love that. Okay, yes, that's skill check. So that is going to be skill check. Okay, so you've selected to make a skill check. So include 1 action from your hand as part of the check. So pick from your hand the card you want to use to determine the tier of success.
Oh, okay. So my hand is ridiculous this time. I'm going to use a queen that I drew.
Oh, jeez. Okay, that works. Jesus Christ.
You had a
That
mommy
works.
mercy.
There is no issue. So straight up tendrils, marionette string tendrils go down, and this creature, and is that skill? What level is that skill at?
That's at 2.
That's a 2. Oh, that's even better. You watch as the creature, your tendrils just ground it, and the shards just shatter entirely. Because it was 2. It had 1 armor and 1 stress it could take.
Oh,
It's
okay.
entirely incapacitated, so it's down.
Uh,
So you've removed 1 combatant because you saved a card. You drew really well.
So then that's discarded after I've used it.
Yep, yep.
Okay, cool. So
And most importantly, you didn't get counterattacked as well. Because if mixed success with doing a combat with your skill check, you trade blows.
Oh no.
I'm very glad that isn't the case here. So then for my third action, I would what are the creatures in zone 2 here?
The skink.
The
It's
skink.
the little one that just chucked an anti-magic field at your mages. At your other mages, and both of them don't look particularly happy about it.
I just made these friends. You're not going to take them away from me.
Oh my God.
Will. So from Mother Mercy's perspective, Mommy Mercy is like stuck in my head now.
Carry on.
So from Mother Mercy's perspective, it's like she's giving a hug to the air, but the whip tendrils, like come in at like this lightning fast pace as it attacks. I think from both sides of the skink. So I'd like to use another Soul Forge skill to attack this if possible.
Okay, yeah.
And I will use my 10 that I drew for this turn for that skill check. I'm going to share what I drew in the group chat in our Discord because
Jesus Christ, I'm kind of impressed by your draw already.
I also
I am now understanding why Aether wants you to do a certain amount of enemies per players.
Yep.
These things can get demolished very quickly. Because you're hitting the skink, correct?
yes.
This also breaks the skink as well. And it immediately, as the skink goes down, because what is it you're playing?
Soulforge.
No, you're using Soulforge, right? But of the cards that you're using to
Oh,
determine
10.
success, 10. Yep, that eradicates the skink lizard. It's the tendrils just latch onto that. Just it's a Team Rocket is blasting off again style moment of just being launched off the area, and
Nice.
yeah, that's your actions.
Amazing.
And she just like looks back to the rest of the group. And she can't smile because she does not have like the facility to do that. But you could tell if she could, she would be. And I don't use my last card for this, I assume. So I keep that or discard it.
Yeah, I'd say you keep it.
Okay.
We'll
Cool.
look up more specifics in between in the week for next week, but
Yeah.
for now, that is Mother Mercy's turn, taking out 2 combatants right off the bat. Very good
Whoa.
draws, very well. It now comes to Esper's turn. Esper, so you
Oh, okay.
have a combatant who's 2 zones away. So if you want to be able to get to them for something melee related, unless you have reach,
I do have
then
reach.
you do have reach. So you would just need to do a discard of 1 in order. You would need to discard 1 card in order to move a zone, and then
Okay.
you'd be able to do something with the reach.
Okay, and I can choose whatever card I want, right?
Yes, it's
Okay,
it's not a specific card.
Okay, I'm gonna discard this 5. And sort of like get low with the staff, get like, and then they're in zone. What's the first combatant? I have combatants in zone 2.
There are no combatants in zone 2. Mercy just eradicated them very quickly.
Oh, okay. So
Both of them. There were 2. There are no longer any more there.
Okay,
They're both in zone 1s, but you have reach, so it's not a big deal. You would just need to move to zone 2,
yeah,
which you have
move into
done,
zone 2. Yeah.
and then you can do something with reach.
All
with
right.
you
So
have 2
I go
actions
to
left.
zone 2. I've got the staff. I'm gonna spin it around. I have 2 actions left.
Yeah, you have 2
and
actions
just-
left, and the creatures who are left are the sentient moss, and the pirate, and the massive bear.
Okay. I am going to go for what I perceive to be the biggest threat. And I'm going to
The
take
biggest
this
threat is
staff-
the bear.
is the bear. And I'm gonna spin the staff around and just slam it right on the nozzle. And I'm going to with
right, well-
my wrath, as I'm just channeling, like you see all of this energy.
Oh, you're spending
swirl
potential to use
around it.
wrath.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend a potential. I'm going to use wrath, and then which is a skill. No, wrath is the skill. Smite is the ability.
Smite is you're using wrath, so you have to do skill. Okay. So
Yeah,
if you're doing
yeah.
a skill check, you need to determine success. So what card are you using for this to determine your success?
Yes. So I'm new to the system. So the court cards, are those like really high? Like
Yes, those are all
queens,
10s.
and jacks.
Those are all 10s.
Excellent. I'm spending a point of potential to activate Smite
Oh, jeez.
Power.
because this is getting serious. Like people are getting hurt, and
It's a big fucking bear.
and the thing is huge. And I'm using my staff, so it won't kill it.
Yeah, just as a note in terms of size of this thing, medium-sized creatures can share a zone with other things. Large creatures typically take up the whole zone, or mechanically they use it. I'm fudging the rules a little bit to let them do it, but just so you know how big this bear is, it's a massive big bear.
First attack, queen.
Queen, that'll do it. That's a hit. That's the full stress equivalent to what the skill it's attached to. What is the level of the skill?
My wrath is 2, and then
Okay, so
Smite,
that's
I
2 damage.
believe, adds an additional +1. Let me double check. Active. Haven't copy pasted these yet.
Yeah,
but I will soon
no
enough.
worries, no worries. I got you. But you done that. The bear is looking pretty, like using all of that did a heavy blow on the bear. It is hurting pretty bad.
3 on the first attack, bam, and then I spin it again, and then crack it back across for the second attack. Spending another potential to smite on that one as well, and that is a 10.
Jesus Christ. The bear is knocked out entirely. With you spending all of that, knocked out the bear. Fucking terrifying. I now understand why the system wants you to fight waves of enemies. I now
Yep.
understand this more and more as
Mhm.
abilities get used.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that I took it thing out so quickly, but
No,
this is a dire situation.
It's a dire bear. Thank you, everyone. For
That hurt me
and
a little.
And I'm just and then I'm just gonna like as the bear like drops, I'm gonna like look at the moss and then look at the pirate, and I'm just going to say, can we resolve this peaceably? Or shall I continue? And that's all I got. I don't have any more actions. I'm just saying that through like heavy breaths.
You hear Xerxes' name being said. Moving on to the next person in the initiative, Jules' turn.
Okay, wait.
I'm not giving you any
there's-
more than that, Hector. You just hear Esper hears Xerxes' name being said by the pirate.
Okay, so there's only the pirate left.
There's the pirate. One second. Is
And
the
moss.
the pirate and the
Okay.
moss left?
Didn't see a
They're the
moss
only
yet.
two
And the
things
moss
left.
left.
The pirate is currently like partially hidden, which mechanically means they have gained a piece of armor because they're making sure that they're protected. They seem like they're trying to do the hide and fire tactics.
Okay, I think I'm going for the moss. But you know,
I really wish I'd made this
It's-
moss resistant to fire all of a sudden.
hey, you give me a moss creature.
Moss?
I
You're perfect. for
have a
that.
character that uses fire. Burn that shit.
I have made a mistake.
No,
Made a serious
no.
mistake.
Now you just set up a situation where we can look awesome.
I mean, yes, that is also the answer. This might not even take 3 rounds, depending on how this goes.
It's in
Which is good.
we're still in zone 3, like
Zone 3, Zone 1. Yeah,
okay.
they're in Zone 1.
They're in zone 1.
The moss and the bear are in Zone 1. If you have something that is attached to your abilities that you already have, like that has a level 2 to it, that means you can hit something that's 2 zones away. Because level determines range of your ability. So if you want to do something like that, you could.
Okay. So my pyromancy is level 2, so I can just
You
easily
can do that. So yeah.
Yeah, without moving even.
Mm.
Pyromancy. It's fire.
Pyromancy. I just try to figure out how abilities work. on
Abilities,
this.
you just so
Yeah.
if you're choosing to use an ability, what you need to do is you need to discard a card and you spend a potential. So you start with 5 and you haven't gained any potential. So you can spend a potential and one of your 3 actions that you have, in addition to discarding a card, and just use the ability, and it's an auto success. That's sort of the benefit of using abilities, is that when you choose to spend the resources for abilities, it just says, no way this messes up. It just does what it does.
I'm using basically 2 attacks in this round. I just need to reread what is what all of this includes. So since I'm not moving, I will it seems like as if Jewel is fueling energy in his right hand, then brings that down to the earth, and at this moment you don't see anything, but under the moss there's suddenly bursting some fire from the ground. This as the first attack on this. The second on this is basically there's not only the fire on the ground, it basically explodes up to the moss. And to make this a critical, I will use the bank card, and I have the S. So, and I have a passive ability called
Spell sequence.
Spell sequence, and this makes it automatically a critical hit.
Moss incinerated entirely, and it's a level 2 that's attached to that skill, right?
Yep.
It was 2. So yeah, so the moss is just I'm gonna say it does 4 damage total because you're spending all of that to do that. The moss doesn't even get to do anything, just burned entirely. The pirate, even with them hiding to have the armor, it is not enough to keep them up. Because you are spending the whole thing in that spell sequence, you immolates them. It was like, I've done my part.
Yeah, they're basically, and if someone would look at him, they would see this totally shit-eating green on his face. Like totally untypically, but it's like kind of creepy.
Morgan, it's your turn. Yeah. Esper, you just watched two whole creatures just burn entirely.
And
There's still there's remnants there.
of the creatures
Yes.
Wow.
that are like walking around.
No,
What are we doing?
no, like the fire didn't like leave them to ash, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Like they're just
right. There's some
very
charred
burned. But
carbon there.
Morgan, it's your call. You don't see anything immediately as a threat right now.
Mm-hmm.
The ground's probably still a little bit burning.
Like hot potato, hot feet.
I think just to be safe, what I'll do is I'll use my transfiguration, and I'm going to shape of a giant eagle and get a bird's eye view of this situation.
Okay, so if you wanted to do that, it would be you spend the potential. If it's an ability, you spend the potential for it. Then if you wanted to move, you could. And if you wanted to save one of your cards for an action for next turn, you could do that.
Okay. It is
If you-
a skill.
Oh, it is a skill. So
Mhm.
for the transfiguration, so draw, use one of your cards for that.
Sure.
You will discard a card, and depending on the card that you discarded, a degree of success is, that will determine what happens.
I've got a 10.
Okay, it works just fine. You start to notice, and this will sort of be the last thing that we'll end on because I'm watching time and I know we're already over. As it's reaching the end of your turn, Morgan, you fly up in the giant eagle form, and you notice that bear, it's not down. You hear it let out a menacing roar, and it gets back up. It recovers health and gets back up. And you from a bird's eye view, the image I'll leave you all on is your eyes are so keen that you notice and you see another shattered pirate looking down the scope of a rifle is about to fire at you. And that is where we're going to end our session for today.
And that is where Angela decided, oh, okay, I give them another wave.
Yes, actually. Yes, actually. Like, I don't fucking get to use 2 of them. I'm going to use more of them. I got a bear, goddammit. I want my bear to hit things. But that is where we are going to leave it off for this week. Thank you, everyone who stuck with us. I know it's been a little bit longer than we would normally do it, but we'll keep a little bit more to time and such. Everyone, real quick, just plug one thing that folks can find you at, and or what you're known for. I'll do that real quick. Hello there, folks. I'm Angela Lemos Mogrovejo. I'm the creative director over at Girls Write These Worlds, where we are going to have our second zine. Our estimated publication date through our publication house is going to be April 20th on the theme of legacies, broken and fulfilled. Super excited to get that out there. Let's move it over to Jenna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jenna, and I am a cast member on The Forgotten Trope. And right now we are playing Masks, and that's very exciting. So if you want to catch me over there, please do that. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Moving it over to the fantastic Kestrel.
Hi, as Angela said, I'm Kestrel. I do things. You can follow me on Twitter at @hollowcompass_, and see what I'm doing there. Yeah.
Fantastic. And last but not least, our own beloved pyromaniac, Caro.
Ah,
Yeah, hello, I'm Kara. You find me on Twitter under the tag Blaine Unrivaled, and also here on Hot of Tales, normally on Tuesdays when we are having our Convergence Manifesto stream.
Oh, it was a pleasure. And well, actually not last but not least, because I didn't fucking say Hector. That was me. My mistake. I'm
It's
no
all good.
Hector.
Hi, I'm Hector Reyes. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr at Keiichi Okami. Got to keep that branding consistent. The one thing I want to plug is the VOD for the wonderful one shot that I did, that I participated in on Girls Right Worlds. That happened on Monday, involving camp,
Flying
lesbian
moose.
camp flying moose, epic lesbian summer camp. Watch it. It's gonna be amazing, and not just
It's
lesbian. All girls having
Uh,
fun.
well, just gals being gals. You have to stay safe with one another occasionally to make sure you know each other's there. You make out with each other, like girls do. That's how that happens. On that note, thank you, everyone. Thank you, folks who rated. Thank you for folks who've been here the whole time, whether you've been fully engaged in chat or just having us like in the background lurking. Lurkers are important. You are valuable. We appreciate your time. And we are going to raid Kaz the DM, who's a Daisy artist who's working on D&D art right now. So thank you, everybody. And may our hearts guide you towards better times, better days, and hopefully not being blown up by fire like my creatures just were. On that note, take care, everybody.